Injuring your tailbone is literally a pain in the butt. I'm not sure how you injured your tailbone or why you stumbled upon this video. A lot of people do this during childbirth. Maybe you had a fall and you ended up with a bruised or very painful tailbone. For me, I was painting stairs and I was like backing my way up the stairs and I just didn't lift my booty high enough and backed right into a very sharp corner of a wooden staircase. And so I had so much tailbone pain, and it has been probably about a month, and I am still I can still feel it now and again. Some things I just want to mention about this pain is that for me, it was not that bad the first week, like I could feel it, but the second week, all of a sudden I went to get out of my car and I could like barely move. It hurt. Getting in and out of the car was one of the most painful things, and I don't know if it's because like sitting in the car. Also, I have a stick shift, and so you can't really take a lot of pressure off your tailbone when you're using a stick shift, and just a whole lot of things. But when I went to get out of the car, it hurt so bad. So I want to give you some tips on how you can ease pain if you have tailbone pain, especially if you are a new mom and you're doing a lot of breastfeeding. That entails a lot of sitting, and sitting is like one of the worst things you can do when you have tailbone pain, because when you go to get up, it hurts so bad. So here's a few things. First of all, when you go to get up, well, let's start here. Do not sit in a position for a long time with pressure on your tailbone, because when you go to get up, the longer you sat like that, the worse it's going to be. So if you are going to be doing a lot of sitting, here are some things that I suggest. Use a wedge pillow. So a wedge pillow, it's bigger up here and it's smaller down at this end. Might have like a donut like hole in the middle would be another suggestion, a pillow like that. But the wedge actually puts your pelvis in a position that it's not going to put as much pressure on your tailbone, and it hopefully will be a little more comfortable for you. I didn't have a wedge pillow, I didn't have a donut to sit on, so what I ended up using was a boppy that I just put the ends really close together, and when I would breastfeed, instead of using it, you know, under my baby, I actually sat on it so that my tailbone was in the hole of the boppy pillow. I know someone who just told me recently they actually took their boppy to work because they did a lot of sitting at work and they didn't want to buy a whole pillow for a bruised tailbone, so they just used their boppy to double as a tailbone cushion, injury cushion, I guess. So that is something. They do actually make these. You could purchase one specifically for tailbone injury, but you don't have to purchase something necessarily. Another thing about breastfeeding is that you typically, at least for me, I would sit. Now the rocking chair in my nursery is nice, it's very cute, it's lovely. However, the cushion is very thin, and so sitting in that chair, most of the part where I go to get up was horrendous. Some things that you can do besides that wedge cushion are put a pillow just under one cheek so you're a little bit unweighted, taking your weight. So if these are your two sit bones that are like in your butt cheeks, your tailbone's right in the middle here, it kind of tips you off of your tailbone. So I did a little bit of that. The other thing is I used a side lying position. So I would lay in bed on my side and nurse that way. If you're not familiar with breastfeeding positions, there is a lot of information about different ways you can breastfeed besides just the traditional sitting upright position. In my postpartum recovery course, which is down in the description if you're ever interested, there is a whole section about breastfeeding, from everything from different types of pumps to different ways to hold your baby to the best breast pads that are going to stop you from leaking through your t-shirt at Costco, really. But that's just a side note. So anyway, so with breastfeeding, the other thing you could do is to really like recline back. And when you recline back, you're going to take your hips and you're going to tuck them under just a little bit. So you're going to tuck your butt under. When you do this, it is going to take that pressure off your tailbone because it kind of tucks the point of your tailbone under, and that can make sitting a little more comfortable too. Unfortunately, when you go to get up from any of these positions, that's when the pain starts again. So everyone's a little bit different. Theoretically, if you lean forward and you arch your back just a little bit when you go to stand up, you are going to have less pain in your tailbone area. However, for me, this sometimes was true, but sometimes it didn't help. Sometimes if I like tucked my butt and used my arms to push myself up and kind of stayed in a tucked position, that was helpful. You really have to play around with what position is your tailbone most comfortable. Does your butt like to be tucked under? Does it feel better when you stick your butt out? What is going to bring you the most relief? But the bottom line is just don't stay sitting for any amount of time. Lay on your side or do a lot of standing to really avoid those flare-ups in tailbone pain. For the long term, so those are like things to do to get you through that severe pain that happens kind of near the beginning of an injury. But you really do need to work your pelvic floor because your tailbone is connected to the hammock part of your pelvic floor, and so some of those muscles attach to your tailbone. So this means whenever you're using pelvic floor muscles, they can pull on your tailbone. And I'm here to tell you, pretty much you're always using some of your pelvic floor muscles. When I noticed the pain more was when I started to think about running again. I had been running postpartum and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go again. And after that tailbone injury, I wasn't really up for it. It just hurt too bad. So some things that you can do to try to relax and calm down your pelvic floor muscles are do some breathings, just some relaxing breathing where you're going to inhale and you're going to fill up your belly, fill up your pelvic floor, and let everything completely relax. And then you're going to exhale and just gently bring those muscles back in. Inhale and open everything up and just feel those pelvic floor muscles completely relaxing. This is going to try to get your muscles out of that like fight or flight mode where they're just holding so tight because they're afraid they're going to get injured again. And when they hold so tight like that, it'd be like a kink in your neck and you hurt your neck, so you're holding it like this. Well, pretty soon you have pain because you've been holding it like this. And the same type of concept is true for your pelvic floor muscles. Something else that you could do is you could take a little round ball like the size of a tennis ball, and you could place it between your sit bone, so you got those two bones in your butt cheeks again. Between that bone and your tailbone, there's a nice cushy area right in the middle. And if you go ahead and stick a ball under there and you sit on that ball, it actually puts some nice gentle pressure up on your pelvic floor muscles. When you do that, that helps them to relax. It's a way, when you think about massage, like if you had that sore neck again, you might go and get a massage. This is a way for you to do kind of a self-massage or a muscle release on your own pelvic floor muscles, which can feel so nice when they're so tight and so angry. Using ice or heat on your pelvic floor muscles could also be another way to find relief. For me, when it was initially, the injury really like spiked in intensity and I could not stand to sit. I couldn't sit without excruciating pain. I used ice on it and that kind of numbed it and felt really good. You could also use heat once you're out of that like acute, really intense phase to just relax those muscles. Just like that ball is going to release your pelvic floor muscles, heat could do something similar. Another thing that you could be doing is stretching those muscles that run through your buns, basically. So a piriformis stretch, which is when you are going to lay down on the floor or sit up in a chair. You're going to put your ankle on your knee, opposite knee. So let's say right ankle on left knee. And then you're going to draw your left thigh in towards your body. And when you do this, you'll start to feel a stretch, hopefully, in your butt cheek area. This is your piriformis muscle, and this muscle is another muscle that can get pretty tight and cause increased pain at the area of your tailbone if it's tight and it's pulling on the structures of your pelvis there. So keep your piriformis nice and stretched out, and hopefully that will help a lot with pain control. If you've tried some of these home remedies and it just is not getting any better, working with a pelvic floor therapist could be another great option for you. Some pelvic floor therapists are even trained to do internal work, which I know sounds really weird, but the best way to get to some of your pelvic floor muscles are internally. They're very gentle and they wouldn't do anything that would make your pain worse. Sometimes they can mobilize your tailbone even if they have training. And these are great options for you if you are experiencing a lot of tailbone pain. Something else that they might give you at a physical therapy session is just gentle mobilizations of your tailbone, which mobilization just means like moving your tailbone, because your tailbone actually like extends and flexes just like our spine flexes and extends. A way that you could do this is with a cat-cow exercise. So you're in a hands and knees position, you're going to arch your back, and then you're going to round your back. And when you do this, your tailbone is automatically coming along for the ride, and it's just gently getting your tailbone moving, hopefully in a pretty minimal pain region, and then that should help you be able to progress to activities such as exercise and even mobilizing it a little more intensely as it starts to become more comfortable. So hopefully those suggestions help you to work through your tailbone pain. I'm so sorry that you're in this boat. I was there. I am still kind of there. It's no fun at all. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm sitting in a chair while I do this video, and I am not grimacing. I'm not feeling pain at all. So know that there is hope. If you'd like to learn tips and tricks like this from a pelvic health physical therapist like myself, please subscribe to my channel. It would mean the world to me if you would give this video a thumbs up or comment below with anything, just saying hi or something that you learned, a question that you have, because every time you do that, my video gets shared with more people. And the more people that know about this stuff, the happier the world is going to be, in my opinion. So please do whatever you feel comfortable with, and I can't wait to see you all again in next week's video.